Kyle McCord is Ohio State's starting quarterback for the season opener against Indiana. We've seen Kyle McCord start a game, at least Steven and I have. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com. This is Andrew Gillis. He's a latecomer here, but he's figuring things out, and he's gotten to see Kyle McCord a couple times in preseason. But we saw Kyle McCord start against Akron in 2021 as a true freshman, and I thought it was fine. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was fine. He did, I think, as well as you might have expected someone in his situation to do, and then the job was turned back over to C.J. Stroud a week later. We've had 2 more years to watch Kyle McCord in practices, spring game, preseason scrimmage. What do you expect a Kyle McCord offense to look like on Saturday?
C.J. Stroud against Minnesota, where a lot of the throws are making the receivers do the work. And I don't mean just like bubble screens and short passes, because I'm remembering this correctly. C.J. Stroud's third pass as Ohio State starting quarterback, they went deep to Garrett Wilson. He just overthrew it, but they set it up. So I don't think they're going to do anything differently here. I don't think they'll go over the middle that much, but it's because it's a brand new starting quarterback. You don't do that week 1 because they tried to do it with C.J. Stroud and threw a pick. So I think outside, down the field. And you've got the perfect 3 starting receivers to do that with, because Marvin Harrison, Emeka Egbuka, he was leading the nation in yards after the catch for a while last year, and I think a healthy Julian Fleming probably gives you a legitimate deep threat. So that's all I'm looking for. I almost want to track it. It's like, how often are his throws outside the numbers and how often are they down the field? Because I think that's where his strength lies the most week 1. Now, we'll see where it is by week 12, but week 1, I think that's what it is.
Obviously, as Steven just said, a ton of receiving talent back for this team. There's also a couple good running backs back for this team, and I don't know how much that's going to factor into the way Ohio State decides to approach things early. But what are you, Andrew, expecting a Kyle McCord offense to look like at Indiana?
I actually disagree with Steven. I think the 2 words that come to mind, simple and easy. Bubble screens, slants. They were talking about getting the running backs more involved in the passing game, swing passes to those guys, get simple throws, because the last thing you want is for him to come in there, maybe try to force something down the field like Steven was talking about, and then you throw a pick, and then you've got a quarterback who, in his first start on the road, throws a pick, maybe in his own territory, and now you're in a situation where, is it 3-0, 7-0 Indiana because you put him in good field position, and then all of a sudden, do you go to Devin Brown? Do you want to do that early? You don't want to put yourself kind of behind the 8 ball, I think, with this situation. So I think early on, like you mentioned, the running game, I think you run the ball. They mentioned the talented, quartet. I think that he mentioned 4 guys that they're going to play at running back. Obviously, Henderson's going to get the bulk of those carries. But, yeah, I'm running the ball early. I'm making quick, easy, just very basic throws. You want to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball. You want to get those receivers the ball. Doesn't have to be down the field. I would trust them to, take a 5-yard slant and turn it into a 15-yard gain and just kind of go down the field like that. So, yeah, I think simple, easy. Got to let him settle in. Got to let him get some comfort in because, again, you don't want to put him in a situation where, hey, go throw the ball down the field, and if that doesn't work, then you've got to make a decision. You don't want to do that.
I think you're both right. This is not a game that should be on Kyle McCord's shoulders. This is not a game that Kyle McCord should have to go out and win. And I think it's important for him probably not to come in and approach it like that. And maybe because he has been on the field more, has thrown more passes in games, it's more easier probably for him to walk onto the field Saturday and maybe have that mindset. At the same time, I think there's 2 ways you can build confidence. I think there's what you're talking about, which is like keep the game simple, operate within that. You can slowly build into something bigger. But I think taking those shots to the guys that Ohio State has. And the other thing, the critical thing here, the X factor, is what is Indiana going to do? We saw Justin Fields in 2020, a much better quarterback, at least at that stage of his career, that the Indiana came in here and pinned their ears back and came at him exotic blitzes out of the secondary. I mean, they were just coming at him from every angle. He threw 3 picks. He got sacked 5 times. Like, they really rattled him. It was the game that, stopped his runaway Heisman train dead in its tracks, basically. And now the defensive coordinator is different, but it's also Matt Guerrieri, who is a Jim Knowles protege, first of all, and second, was here as an analyst last year and knows Ohio State's personnel. Now, that's only going to do him so much because he's got to take what is by Tom Allen's, not Tool Time, Tim Allen, Tom Allen's own admission, a very kind of shaky secondary, at least to start the year. They're going to find out what they've got back there, going up against the best receiving core in the country. I don't know what he's going to do, maybe to scheme that away, but I could see them coming after Kyle McCord and Devin Brown when he plays a lot And how does Kyle McCord respond to that? How does he make reads? How does he evade that? How does he move within the pocket and still keep this offense going? I think it's going to be potentially an early test in some ways that's going to tell us a lot about what Kyle McCord is. A lot more discussion about this on Buckeye Talk, wherever you can find podcasts. And get the text, 614-350-3315. It's a 2-week free trial. You get to find out everything we hear and see on the field before the game at Indiana on Saturday for free from Buckeye Talk.